for our feature presentation.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series. Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow. He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
The Senegal baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and a good Thursday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and driven by our friends and yours at Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at stokesvw.com. Happy Masters Thursday, everybody. Find us on the yes, sir. Happy Masters. It is finally back in April, where we all love it. And you can find us on the JB and Goldwater app. Hopefully you've downloaded that. It is free. You can have it right there on your phone. And if you do, you can watch and listen to our program daily in its entirety. And if you happen to miss it, you can go back and watch that way as well. There's also the JB and Goldwater season ticket and much, much more by downloading the JB and Goldwater app. Across all social media platforms at JB and Goldwater, individually at Sports Media JB, and at Darren Goldwater. 843-321-8893 is our phone number and our text line. If you want to send us a text, sure, do it. You can also send us a note in one of the chat rooms available, whether you're on Twitter, whether you are on the app with us, whether you're on Facebook. Darren can grab those, pop them on the screen, and make them a part of our conversation. It is Masters Week, and even those that maybe don't love golf will love what we're doing today. You're going to have fun. You're going to learn a lot because Scott Glaze and Meredith Taylor will join us here in just a moment. Scott, a professional golfer himself. He is also the golf pro at Stono Ferry here in the Low Country. Meredith Taylor probably could be a professional golfer if she wanted to be at this point in time, but she did play golf at the University of South Carolina, one of the best I've ever seen. There's no doubt about that. And they are our analysts today and tomorrow, and they'll join us a couple of times on both programs to kind of walk you through the Masters. We do have Cory McCartney today as well on baseball. The Braves swept the Nationals yesterday. Unlike Darren, I won't make a big deal out of that. It's April.
It's still a doubleheader sweep. And now the Nationals are below 500 and the Braves didn't have a win yet. You needed some wins. You got them.
It's April.
Every game matters.
Yeah, that's what they say, right? We also have some Gamecock stuff to get to as well. In hoops, we've got some baseball to get to at the collegiate level and much more, but mostly focused around the Masters today and tomorrow. And you're going to hear some really neat stuff. We've got some really cool history on the Masters we're going to pass along to you. Also, of course, Scott and Meredith will kind of break down what they're seeing and much, much more. So, again, if you're not the biggest golf fan of all time, you might turn into one. If you just stay with us over the next couple of days. We know that you're all going to be watching the Masters as well. Maybe have us going side by side or listening to us and watching that, whatever it may be. If you happen to be on the road or somewhere where you cannot access what is happening right now at Augusta National, a quick update on the leaderboard. Hideki Matsuyama has just taken the lead. He's through 8 and he's 3 under, Darren. He's a shot ahead of Siwoo Kim, Corey Connors, and Christian, I don't know. They're all 2 under par. The highest, or the I would say the highest American on the leaderboard, tied for 5th, is Kevin Kisner alongside Patrick Reed and Brian Gay. Of course, Patrick Reed's got a green jacket, so a lot to get to there. But before we get Scott and Meredith in here in just a moment, Darren, well, there they are. Before we plug them into the program, your early reaction to what we've seen. Only 4 hours worth of Masters coverage thus far.
Well, I'll say this, and I think Scott will back it up, because last week, Scott, you pointed out that there's some talk that the course is playing a lot harder than it was back, 5-6 months ago. So my early impression is that looks like it's the case. There's not a whole lot of guys under par. There's not a whole lot of guys on the course, but the guys who are under par are just a handful, a little bit more than a handful of guys right now. So that's my early impression of it all.
Allow me to introduce these two. You can probably tell by their names who is who. Meredith Taylor is on the right of the screen. Scott Glaze in his green. Hey, I'm in a light green myself, Scott. He is to the left, and he's down here in the low country of South Carolina. He's going to be manning the course this weekend, as he generally does, out at Stono Ferry. He's the golf pro at Stono Ferry. You can find him at stonoferrygolf.com. Meredith is in the Midlands of South Carolina, and just like me, she shares deep affection for the Garnet and Black of the University of South Carolina, former Gamecock golfer. And I'll say, y'all have heard me say this a bunch, and Darren knows this. I think I've covered a lot in 6 years of doing sports broadcasting. But Darren's a broadcaster. He actually goes and covers the games. I've covered a lot of events. The most fun I ever had was with you two at the 2019 U.S. Women's Open at the Country Club of Charleston. That was so much fun. I learned so much, and y'all literally built the entire week. Everybody kept praising us. I was like, what are you praising me for? I didn't do anything. These two talked the whole time. So you did a wonderful job. We're happy to have you back. We'll start with you, Meredith. Good afternoon and happy Masters Week.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me, and happy Masters. We got the band back together.
Even Scott Glaze generally joins us on Thursday. He's going to pull double duty this week. What's up, Scotty?
Yeah, what's up, guys? This is nice little reunion. I'm all Masters out. I got my green. I've mentioned before we had this in November. I got my Masters mug. I've got my Masters cup. We're good to go. We're best week of the year. It's like
I got my Dog and Duck cup. That's close enough.
There you go. Hey,
that's right. And I've got
ad.
My Masters green is right here. So yes, I'm with all of you. All right, again, Hideki Matsuyama 3 under through 8. Siwoo Kim, Corey Connors, Kevin Kisner, and Christian somebody are all at 2 under. A couple. Let me get some of the notable names in here as well. Sergio having a tough day. He's 3 over through 5. Ian Poulter 4 over through 11. Sandy Lyle, he's playing in the Masters. He is 9 over through 16. And then there's a bunch of today's big names at 1 over. DJ is 1 over through 5. Bubba is 1 over through 5. Through 7. Brooks Koepka is 1 over through 7. Xander Schauffele is 1 over at this point in time as well. This leaderboard continues changing as we expect it to do. But Meredith, your early impressions today, this sucker is going to change a lot. But your early impressions on some of the players, what they've done, and the course itself.
Yeah, so I think this year is going to be different than the past 5 or 6 years because it's going to be firm and fast. I think that, these past 5 years, weather's been a factor, and I think weather is coming in the next couple of days, so that could soften everything up. But right now, and listening to the player interviews the past few days, they came in on Monday and Tuesday and were kind of like a deer in headlights. Like, the greens are already running like it's the weekend. So that tells me it is firm and fast. It's going to probably benefit the veterans because those that have just played it a couple times have had soft conditions. And so to me, you look at somebody like JT, who I think it's his 7th appearance, and you look at the veterans that have won this golf tournament, Spieth, I'm trying to think of some other ones, but those that have played firm and fast are going to benefit and know where to place that golf ball and what quadrants to hit. And if their short game is going to be the key. If their chipping and putting is elite, then they're going to be in the hunt. That's just my early impressions as far as the conditions right now.
Scott, I'm watching it right now. We've got it on here. You'll occasionally see me turn my head. The flag is fairly stiff on a couple of these holes. It looks like it's the wind's coming in right around 11 or 12 miles per hour. Meredith just mentioned how fast and how firm it could be this week. Obviously, the wind out there might be playing a factor in a lot of these golf shots as well.
Yeah, rain could be a factor. I know that there is a chance. I just pulled up the forecast. The accumulation of rain that they're expecting is not going to be a lot. So even if we do get some weather, it might soften the golf course a little bit, but it's still going to be a firm and fast Augusta. The last 2 years have yielded the lowest scoring averages in Masters history. 2019 was the lowest, and then 2020, or the November version in 2020, was then the lowest. We saw it play very soft in November. It's going to be totally different. From 1938 to 2018, the field had averaged under par only once, and that was in 1992. So I think we're going to get back on the trend of a much more that's when this place plays tough and firm and fast. It brings a lot more players into play. Like Meredith mentioned, the veterans are really going to thrive this week because you're going to have to know how to play the angles. You're going to have to hit all the little finicky shots you got to hit around Augusta National, especially around the greens. Going down in recent memory, when you look at the more difficult Masters, we've had some champions that are shorter off the tee. They're not the big bombers that we usually see. Now, we do know that Augusta National is a second shot golf course. And I think we're really going to see that this week with the firm and fast conditions. We had Zach Johnson win. That was in 2007. He won at 1 over par, won the Masters. The next year, Trevor Immelman won, not known for being a long hitter. 8 under was his total there. We had Danny Willett in 2016 at 5 under. So it brings Zach Johnson, most notably, not a long hitter at all. When the place starts playing firm and fast, going to bring a lot more players into the mix. And that's what makes it incredibly exciting for me, because we've already got 10 or 12 guys that can easily go win the Masters. You sprinkle in some more, it's going to be a heck of a weekend.
Any of the people out early that are struggling, surprise either one of you? I'll start with you, Meredith.
Not so much, and I haven't looked at it recently, but to me, listening to Fred Couples, who won here in 90, let's see.
It was late 90s.
92, yeah.
Yeah, 92.
So when he won at 92, and I watch JT. He plays practice rounds with Freddie Couples. Freddie Couples knows this golf course better than anybody out there. To me, his comments when he said, it's been probably 7+ years since it's been this firm and fast, and 70 to 71 is going to be a good score. And when he said that, I was like, okay, it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be the test that they want Augusta National to be. That's when it's the most exciting to me, because it's going to give the field. So I just think the most elite player that week is going to be the winner. You can't have like on the regular PGA Tour, you can kind of miss a shot and get away with it. You can't get away with it at Augusta National when it's firm and fast. And so the cream will rise to the top, and I think that's what they want. It's going to be a tough test, and I think the veterans will, like Fred Couples said, 70 to 71 is a great score.
Yeah, what's interesting about that too, look, a couple quick numbers here. The last 3 years, kind of piggybacking on what Scott said a moment ago, the last 3 years, the average winning score is 16 under par. The only gentleman who's brought that score down is some guy named Tiger Woods, who was just 13 under par back in 2019. Only 3 times in history, by the way, at this course has a player won over par, and that has not happened since Zach Johnson did it at 1 over in 2007. But that's 3 times in the history of the golf course. I mean, they've been playing this thing since 1934, basically. So we don't expect anything like that. What you're saying is something that's maybe in there, Scott?
Yeah, you kind of cut out on me there, JB, so I missed the last little bit. But I think
high single digits, 7 under, 8 under, 9
yeah,
under.
I could totally see high single digits winning, maybe around 11, 12 if it does start to soften up. But just looking at the way the golf course looks early on Thursday, Augusta never looks this baked out, for lack of a better term. That's not what they want. They want. They wouldn't want us to use those terms to describe their golf course. But the place looks like it is rock hard, and it's only going to get more difficult. We see that through Masters history. In terms of players, I'm a little surprised with their score thus far. You mentioned Sergio. Lee Westwood is 3 over through 6. He's a guy with a ton of experience around here. He's finished runner-up twice, and he's been playing well. We saw him those back-to-back weeks having those duels with Bryson.
Yep.
I really think he's somebody. I think still watch out for him. It's early. He's only 6 holes into a 72-hole tournament in difficult conditions. Jason Day is another guy. He started out and actually birdied number 2, and he's now 2 over through 9. He's somebody with a lot of experience around here, has not won a Masters, but certainly knows how to play this golf course. And he might have made a birdie because no, he doesn't. Rory McIlroy, 1 over through 5. Rory, I think, is coming in a little under the radar, working with a new swing coach. He needs the Masters to complete the Grand Slam and really then just go into the stratosphere of greatest golfers of all time. I think so many people want to see that from Rory. He had such a great opportunity to win here years ago and gave it away on the back 9. Rory since 2015, Rory is 28 over par in the opening round of major championships.
Wow. Why is that?
Rounds 2, I don't know. Rounds 2 through 4, he's 64 under par. And they did a little piece on this. Brandon Chambly did a piece on this the other night on Rory and his starts, specifically the Masters, shooting 73, 75, and then coming back and torching it rounds 2, 3, and 4, but he just gets off to such a bad start. He can't make up for it. I have no clue. Rory is a far superior golfer than I am, but I think there's a lot of pressure that Rory puts on himself. There has been a lot of pressure that the media puts on Rory, especially once he won the first 3 legs of the Grand Slam. Every time he comes into Augusta National, the question is this the week? Are you going to win and win the Grand Slam? And that's a lot of pressure. And if you put too much pressure on yourself, you can come out of the gates flat like that easily. So Rory 1 over through 5 or 6, whatever it is now, that's certainly not a bad position considering how difficult we expect the course to play. But that's something to keep an eye on is how he's going to finish up the round today and the position that he's going to be in with 3 more to go.
Yeah. I hope you all, if you're in the Low Country, will join Darren Goldwater today at the Dog and Duck. I'm sure he'll be there right around 2:04 p.m. When we get off the air at 2. You play Augusta now. What holes there's parter here? What holes can you gain? And then what holes are dangerous? What holes do you need to be careful of? And I know I'm kind of adding on to this, but how, if it does, can that change from Thursday until Sunday if you make the cut?
Right. You broke up a little bit, but I think the back 9 is so difficult. This golf course, I don't think people realize that are watching on TV and have never attended the tournament. I don't think people realize the undulation and the elevation changes and the hills and the side hill lies, downhill lies, uphill lies. Nothing's flat except the tee box on a lot of this golf course. And so it's going to be a shot maker golf course. And it's like Scott said, it's a second shot golf course. You've got to be on with your irons. As far as different holes, to me, it's surviving the front 9. It's a mental and physical test. So if you can stay even par that front 9 somehow and get to the back 9, that's when you got to be dialed in. The old adage is the golf tournament doesn't start until the back 9 of Augusta on Sunday, and that's incredibly accurate. All the drama, all of the pressure of the back 9 at Augusta and the shots that you have to execute are insanely difficult. Everybody focuses on 12. The wind swirls. I don't think people realize from the clubhouse down to Aiming Corner is over 100-foot drop in elevation. It's in a hole and the wind swirls down there. And so it's, 11. What's crazy is when you're sitting at Aiming Corner and you see 11 green, the flag's going this way. And then you look over at 12, the flag's going this way. And so that's why people are sitting there and they're just kind of looking around like, what is going on? And I don't know what to hit. I don't know if the wind's going to gust. And that's what makes it so crazy and mentally fatiguing. much less like the physicality. And that's why people were talking about Brooks and his knee issue. It's not the golf swing. It's more the physical, the hills and the physical aspects of walking that golf course. I loved 12. I knocked it tight. It was one of those things where I can talk about to my kids one day. But 18 is such a fun hole. I birdied that one, but in between, I did not do so well. So there's just, you gotta like withstand a lot of it, and just hang in there. Honestly,
What'd you shoot?
I'm not going to tell you.
At least we know you got a couple birdies in there.
That's right. That's right.
But have you played Augusta National?
No, I haven't. I'm insanely jealous listening to that. But hey, one day, you never know. But I'd say shout out while you're talking, Meredith, Kevin Kisner birdied 10 to go to 2 under. So South Carolina's own tied for second there. He's a guy that might want to watch out for this week. He's from Aiken, so he's got local ties and connections there. He's great on the greens, phenomenal putter. He's got the bulldog type mentality, and that's what's going to take on a difficult golf course. What it takes to win golf tournaments most of the time. But he's not a longer hitter. And like to my point earlier, if this place plays firm and fast, it can bring somebody like Kisner into play. So we're seeing it. He's using it to his advantage early.
New leader, Carlos Ortiz at 4 under. What do we know about Carlos Ortiz, Scott?
He's a doppelganger for Jordan Spieth. I know that. I tweeted this out a week or two ago. Between Matthew Fitzpatrick, Jordan Spieth, and Carlos Ortiz, that I swear those guys are the same person.
That's so crazy.
So you need to do a little research on that. They look exactly the same with a hat on, and they wear similar clothing. Carlos Ortiz won earlier this year. I cannot remember where, which obviously qualifies him for the Masters. Young player, not a big strapping guy, so similar to Kisner in that he's not bombed it all over the yard. And a golf course that's playing firm, he can take advantage of. I would not put much stock into Carlos Ortiz for the rest of the week because unless I'm wrong, this is his first Masters appearance. First timers have had success here. Jordan Spieth almost won in his first Masters, but most of the time it takes you. I believe I saw the stat that the average number of starts to win a Masters is 6. And this, interestingly enough, in an interesting segue, is Justin Thomas's 6th Masters. So he's one of the favorites this week, and certainly I know is on a lot of people's minds as he tries to win his second major championship and first Masters.
12:23 on this Thursday afternoon morning.
Maybe broke up here just a little bit. But as you watch this here, some of the later wave, and then we'll talk to you guys again in what, like 30 minutes. But some of the later wave guys that you guys are waiting to see who may be able to attack this course early on.
Let me look at the sheet here. Who do we have going in the afternoon? We have
you got Spieth's going out, JT's going out.
Yeah. Him winning last week, a lot of people were like, well, I guess I'm not picking him for the Masters, but I don't buy into that. I think he's come into form, and the moment he steps on property and you're a former winner, you've got great memories here. The moment you step on property, you get that confidence and that swagger to go out and because he's in such good form with his wedges and putting, I mean, I think he'll be a force this weekend, but that's just me.
Here's some Spieth stats for you. Of the players in Masters history with a minimum of 20 or more rounds played, Jordan Spieth has the lowest career scoring average of all time, 70.46. And they don't keep track of strokes gained at the Masters like they do in normal PGA Tour events. But in strokes gained total per round, he's second all time, trailing only Ben Hogan. He's already had the lead or tied for the lead after 9 rounds in the Masters, which only puts him behind Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, and Tiger Woods. Wow. I mean, he's in rarefied air when it comes to Augusta National. Let's see. We talk about approach play. the average strokes gained for the Masters winner averages at 1.8 strokes gained approach. Of the players with 10 or more rounds at the Masters since 2015, there's only one player that's averaged more than one full stroke gained on the field in their approach play, and that's Jordan Spieth. So the guy,
that's Mr. Glaze. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
studying for this.
That's right. I mean, it's Masters Week, man. It's the Super Bowl. Come on.
Yeah.
So it's what's difficult is that there have only been 5 other Masters champions to win the week prior to the Masters. It does not happen often. The last time it happened was when Phil Mickelson did it. I believe it was 2006. So it has not happened in a while. It's very difficult to do. He's coming off of playing in the match play in Austin, traveling to San Antonio, obviously playing very well, winning finally again, and now coming into the Masters where everyone has instantly catapulted him to be a favorite. So that's a big burden to bear, and it's tough to play good golf for that stretch. So it's great to see Jordan back and he's in the conversation. He is certainly everybody's eyes are going to be on him this afternoon. And just scrolling through, Justin Rose is somebody I think that could fly under the radar, a big name that flies under the radar this week. The guy has had a ton of success at Augusta National, finished runner-up to Sergio a few years ago, lost in a playoff, had a lot of success here, has not won a Masters, and like I said, is flying under the radar a little bit, so I could take some pressure off of him. Has not had the best play as of late, but is another veteran that certainly could vault to the top of the leaderboard.
Only about a minute or two left in this segment. We will have back at 5 today as we continue our coverage of the Masters. 20 years ago today, Scott, Meredith, Darren, April 8th, 2001 is when Tiger completed the Tiger Slam. He won the Masters on this date 20 years ago. It's hard to believe that. He's, of course, the only golfer ever to hold all 4 major titles at the same time. Will that ever happen?
No, I don't think that will happen.
Today's world of golf that could even accomplish that feat.
I'm sorry, JB, you cut out on me there, and I interrupted you, but no, I don't think it will happen again. Let's not forget, Tiger also won that Tiger Slam and then followed it up with the Players Championship in 2001 too. So he had all 4 majors and the Players Championship. I don't see it happening. Golf's too good right now. We don't have a dominant force, and I don't think that means the game's in a bad state. I think the game's in a great state. We have tons and tons of great players. And, maybe, who knows, in 50 years, we might have another Tiger Woods come along and dominate the game. But I just don't see it.
Yeah. Pretty remarkable stuff. Plenty on the way with the Masters. Meredith, Scott, we're going to give you a 30-minute lunch break. We'll have you back at 1:05 this afternoon, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Perfect. See you.
We're going to hit a quick timeout. When we return, Cory McCartney is going to join us live from Atlanta, Georgia. We've got some baseball to dabble in. We'll keep you updated on the Masters as well from Augusta, Georgia. So hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen on this Masters Thursday afternoon. We'll be right back.
Peace and love at Stokes Speed Dub.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. Whatever you got planned this week, cancel it. 72 new Volkswagens will be sold in the next 72 hours at whatever price it takes. I repeat, 72 new Volkswagens will be sold in the next 72 hours. To the first 72 car buyers interested in saving up to $6,000 on a new Volkswagen for 3 days only. Every new Volkswagen and pre-owned vehicle at our bottom line price. Direct to the public, regardless of profit. Qualified purchases with interest-free financing for 60 months, and all trade-ins will be accepted. Interested parties should arrive early for best selection. You will not find a lower price anywhere in the country. 72-hour Volkswagen clearance, savings up to $6,000, 3 days only at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
Peace and love at Stokes Speed Dub.
$16.66 per month per thousand borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with 0 down plus tax. Tag includes $4.99.50 administration fee subject to VCI credit approval. Expires month end.
What's up, everyone? JB here. Want to tell you about my friends at McFadden Pest Control, as we do every day on our program. I love these guys. They've been in business over 40 years, and they treat our family like they've only been around for 4 days. Always doing their best work, trying to earn our business, although they know that they'll always have it. Heath and the guys take care of our quarterly, our mosquitoes, termite bonds, anything we can get them to do, they do it. They're the best. They're friends. Heath even often texts me and just asks to see how my family's doing. It's amazing. I can't say enough about McFadden Pest Control. Switch to them. You'll never have anyone else protect your home. McFaddenPestControl.com, McFaddenPestControl.com here in the Low Country.
Spring is officially here, and there's no better place to bring it in than the Dog and Duck. 3 locations in Mount Pleasant, Park West, Bell Hall, and Clements Ferry Road, all of them with gorgeous outdoor seating to take advantage of their daily food and drink specials. Through the end of April, $5 Sweetwater pints. Food specials like Taco Tuesday and the Game Day Burger every Wednesday. It's all available at Dog and Duck. There are 3 locations in Mount Pleasant, Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
What's up, everybody? This is South Carolina singer-songwriter Patrick Davis, and I might live in Nashville, Tennessee now, but guess what?
Hey, buddy, I'm not paying you to hear your thoughts on life. I'm paying you to sing.
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say! You are the worst wedding singer in the world, buddy.
Sir, one more outburst, I will strangle you with my microphone wire. You understand me?
You are listening to my friends JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
All right, 12:31. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. I know, Aaron, that I was having some technical difficulties in that first segment. Hopefully, we've got those fixed now. So, try to move forward without any more problems. All right, how about that?
Oh, we'll do our best. We'll give your computer a little bit of a shot in the arm here. Maybe your computer needs the vaccine, a couple of shots, and we're going to be good to go.
It needs to be like me. We're fully vaccinated in this house. So,
that's right. It feels jealous. So it's just, it's making you pay every now and then.
That's right. If anybody heard me breaking up here and there, I apologize for that. Hideki Matsuyama continues to lead at 3 under. I think earlier I mentioned Carlos Ortiz had jumped to 4 under. That was the leaderboard. The leaderboard showed him at 4 under, and I hadn't seen it on the screen. And then he's not there anymore. Carlos Ortiz is actually he still is at even par. So I'm not exactly sure what happened with the Masters leaderboard, but it had a little bit of a glitch. So if anybody was listening to that and thought, what the hell are they watching? We're watching the same thing you are. But something there was, we apologize for that. But again, Matsuyama continues to lead at 3 under, and we've got Scott and Meredith coming back at 105, but we head to Atlanta. And Georgia, it's day for Cory McCartney.
Oh, JB's internet is just having a heck of a time. So, Corey, we'll start with the Braves, obviously. We'll start with the doubleheader sweep, just getting home with a couple of wins. They were on the road for a while, right? So the overall impression of a week into the baseball season here with the Braves.
So Talking Chop today, you could find so many moments to freak out about, and then so many reasons to kind of pump the brakes and put things into perspective a little bit over this last week. I mean, certainly, you think about an 0-3 start, to 2 years ago. They end up winning the division. 0-4. They were actually under their worst start since they opened up 0-9 in 2016. So. Obviously getting that sweep against the Nationals was huge. We saw Ronald Acuna Jr. wake up. We saw Freddie Freeman go deep. Still some question marks, with Ozzie Albies and Marcelo Zuna searching for that first extra base hit. And I'm sure we'll get into Mike Soroka here. But going into the home opener tomorrow, I think there's a little bit better feeling around this team than there was 24 hours ago.
How about the start from Enoa yesterday? I mean, to be honest, I didn't know much about him. Tell me a little bit about Enoa, because that slider was devastating.
System for a long time. His brother actually was in the majors as well with the Yankees. So this is the guy they got in the deal with the Twins for Jaime Garcia a few years ago. Garcia ended up making just, I think, one start for the for the Twins that year after that deal. But this is a guy that they've looked at. I think he kind of. It's easy when you think about those guys that are drafted, guys like Mike Soroka and Bryce Wilson and Kyle Wright. These guys that we watched come up through college, we watched them progress. We watched them get drafted. These international signings with pitchers is sometimes guys just kind of flow under the radar a little bit. Has been somebody that they've watched progress, and he's shown it in signs. You look at him during the spring, and in each of his starts was really good, but he always had that one inning in which things kind of blew up for him. He did not have that yesterday. And with the news now that Mike Soroka is going to be shut down for 2 weeks, I think you really have to consider Huascar Ynoa to be somebody who's going to get a couple more turns in this rotation. We've always talked about Kyle Wright, Bryce Wilson, but I think Ynoa is showing that he deserves a much longer look.
You led me right into where I was going with that, with the Soroka injury, because he wasn't initially penciled in, right, as one of the top however many guys they're going with in the rotation. And number one, do they have a number of how many guys they want in that rotation? And then the impact of Soroka shut down for a couple of weeks. Can Ynoa fill that void?
The talk of it being, up to 6 people. I mean, without saying we're going to a 6-man rotation, we have the main pieces. Then you kind of look towards Kyle Wright and Bryce Wilson, Huascar Ynoa, even Josh Tomlin, if you end up going to a bullpen game to kind of fill that gap until Soroka comes back. I think now, as I said, I think you give Ynoa that longer look and see if he can hold down that 5th spot. The thing with Soroka is, we find out yesterday that he's going to be shut down for 2 weeks. He has inflammation in his right shoulder. Obviously, he's coming back from an Achilles injury, so you wouldn't think on the surface, okay, you're worried too much about that. There's no structural damage right now. But I'm concerned about this for a little bit because in 2018, he was shut down for shoulder inflammation. In 2019, he was delayed to start spring training because of shoulder inflammation. Now, here we are again, dealing with the exact same thing. So I'm not saying it's a compensation issue, coming back from the Achilles and whether he's, tweaked anything or anything along those lines. But I think for the 3rd time in 3 years for this guy to be dealing with the same injury, you do kind of worry about that tendonitis stuff and that inflammation that builds up with pitchers having this kind of stuff happen over and over again.
I'll circle back to the Braves, but on that point of something kind of lingering, Tatis out in San Diego, right? He hurts his shoulder late in spring training, his non-throwing shoulder, then hurts it again recently. He's on the IL. Apparently it's been something that's bothered him for a while. The Padres sunk a lot of money into Tatis. Is this worrying for San Diego? I guess how worrisome should it be?
Shoulder surgery not needed. Obviously they're saying it's just a slight, issue at this point. But, I do think when you think about that age and you think about, the fact that you're going to be, constant, this is not a designated hitter. This isn't Giancarlo Stanton, dealing with a left shoulder issue. And, that guy's just going to go out there and swing the bat, 3-4 times a game. This is a guy who's playing a prime defensive position who you need to be able to be out there and be in tip-top shape for the duration of a season. So the fact that it's happening so early, I think you can draw some concerns, but at least at this point for the Padres who have, World Series aspirations in 2021, it's not a major issue. But what does this look like in 5-6 years? Does this keep recurring? We'll obviously have to wait and see.
Well, I'll circle back to the Braves here, and then, a lot to get to outside of the Braves clubhouse and just in the world of Major League Baseball 1 week into the season right now. Offensively, you touched on a couple of guys that just really didn't get off the schneid yet in terms of extra base hits and home runs, which would obviously fall right into that category as well. One game, there was the explosion of home runs, but other than that, not a whole lot of pop. I guess the expectation for this lineup, do you think yesterday may have been something to pop the top off that a little bit and just kind of let everyone breathe?
For last year, right? I mean, they were right there with the Dodgers for the most home runs hit in baseball. They were the 2nd most explosive offense in baseball last year in terms of weighted run created plus. They were only trailing the Dodgers in that department. In Philly, the top 4 in the order of Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, Freddie Freeman, Marcell Ozuna were 3 for 44. Obviously, they were 10 for 35 with 4 extra base hits in the series against the Nationals. We're still looking for Albies and Ozuna to have that first extra base hit of the season. Azuna's hitting, 2 for 20. Albies is 2 for 22. They really obviously need those two to get going, but it all starts with Acuna. We saw the explosiveness from him with 2 home runs in that first game. He stole 2 bases yesterday during that doubleheader. I think you just have to understand that the numbers aren't going to always bear out from a small sample size. Ozzie Albies is hitting the ball hard. When you look at his hard hit rate, his hard hit rate is among the top 68% in the majors right now. Marcell Ozuna is still hitting the ball hard. I hate using luck in terms of baseball, but these two are having some extreme bad luck. And I think it'll obviously weigh itself out over time. These guys are going to continue to hit the ball hard. Balls will drop. It's just right now, with a small sample size of a week, it's easy to get worked up about it.
You know who's not having bad luck? Pablo Sandoval. I mean, we didn't even know what to make of him when we started talking about him in spring training. And here he is, the most, I guess, dangerous guy in the lineup through a week here for the Braves. How surprising is this from Sandoval?
Look, when he showed up at camp, I think you looked at the guys that he was battling out, and you saw Jason Kipnis, who obviously provides a lot more versatility. We haven't seen Pablo Sandoval be an consistently effective major league hitter since 2014 when he was his heyday with the Giants. We saw him go to the Red Sox and just basically fall to pieces. They end up having to buy him out. Goes back to San Francisco, was okay, but was never the same as he was before. So, to me, he was just kind of like, okay, you throw a bone to a guy who's at the end of his rope and see if he can a spot out of camp. Obviously, he has two, big pinch hit home runs. All this at $1 million. I mean, that's the craziest thing about this is you're getting this production for $1 million. I've heard it said many times how big he is in the clubhouse in terms of a tone setter. This is obviously a veteran, a guy who's been around, but you need to have those pieces on the bench, and they've kind of struggled to find that real pop on the bench for a long time. They had it with Matt Joyce for a little bit, but they really haven't had that consistent presence as a bench bat for a long time. And I'm not saying 2 home runs into a week that means it's going to be Pablo Sandoval, but this guy certainly looks like he's got something left in the tank.
Yeah, I would say so. It certainly looked good through 7 days here so far. Before we get off the Braves, Freddie Freeman, there's an ESPN documentary that's coming out about him. He spoke to you and vice versa for your book about the same situation. What are we to expect in this documentary? What should we learn here about Freddie Freeman?
Him and his father, his family went through a lot of heartbreak when he was young with his mom dying from skin cancer. So there's going to be a lot in this about the relationship with him and his mom and how him and his dad bonded through baseball. I go into this in a lot greater detail in the book, but everybody knows that Freddie Freeman tries to hit the ball over the shortstop's head. He kind of hones in on that during batting practice. Him and his dad used to have a game where they had 3 buckets of balls. The first one, he hits everything to left field. The next bucket, he hits everything to center. The last one, he hits everything to right. He honed in on this. He was doing this by the age of 9. So you think about in high school, losing your mom and what these two had to go through, and he has 2 other brothers as well. But there was a lot of heartache for this family, and I think him now being a father of 3 boys, I think he embraces being in the position his dad was in, raising some boys. So this is going to be a pretty heartfelt piece by ESPN, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. JB, welcome back. We just went through the Braves and they're just ripping the hearts out of the Nationals yesterday, and about Pablo Sandoval, and now about Freddie Freeman. So I was just going to slide over to the NL East. The early impressions of the league, the division, I guess we should say, and is it what you thought it would be through a week?
Really explosive. I think this is offensively, we knew this team was going to have a lot. Wasn't really sure what they were going to have from a pitching standpoint. Aaron Nola's obviously looked really good to start things out. So I don't know that they have staying power. I don't know if they have enough pitching in terms of matching up long-term with the Braves, the Mets, and the Nationals, even the Marlins from that standpoint. But, a plus 10 run differential 1 week into the season. I think if you're a Phillies fan, especially getting that sweep against the Braves early, you got to be really happy with where things are.
I don't even know what to say because I was trying to figure out technical difficulties for the last 15 minutes. So I'm just listening to you guys just ramble on about whatever. How about the Red Sox? They've won 3 games. That's more than a lot of people thought they'd win all year.
Him the other night, and JD Martinez hits the ball twice over Randy Rosarena's head. Randy Rosarena earlier had made, in the week had made a catch that people were talking about being an early candidate for catch of the year, and then he makes 2 bad defensive plays that ended up costing his team the game. So I'm not getting too excited about that Red Sox team yet. I think there's a lot of holes in that club, but JD Martinez has just been on absolute fire. I was actually running through this, and if you're a Detroit Tigers fan, you have to just be beside yourself right now. Nick Castellanos and JD Martinez are the number 1 and number 3 hitters in baseball right now. 2 guys that you had on your team. Now you're in the middle of a rebuild. This is it's got to be tough to sit there and watch if you're a fan of the Tigers.
No, did you already address Mike Soroka and how he's doing? I'm sorry.
It'll be 2 weeks, yeah, and then Corey can fill you in. I guess we could hit that back up. But Enoa was so good yesterday that Enoa should slide into that spot in the rotation, at least for a couple starts, maybe.
Because you got to think about you were ramping him up, and now you're completely shutting him down for 2 weeks. You got to ramp him back up again, and then make sure that there's no setbacks or anything. It may be the middle to end of May now before we see Mike Soroka. So there's no rush. Obviously it was so great yesterday. I don't know if we're going to see that out of him every time, but baby, you obviously don't want to push anything. But Max Fried hasn't looked great. We'll see with Drew Smiley where they get long term out of him, but Anderson. There's going to be some questions, though, with that rotation for a little bit as we sort things out.
Smiley was my question. Just interested to hear what the Braves thought about his start and actually what he thought about it.
I've had some concerns about him. I've kind of talked about it with you guys before that I wasn't necessarily sure what they were getting with him with that contract. I wasn't sure that when you look with guys like Chris Archer and what others were getting, that he necessarily was worth the amount of dollars that they were paying towards him. But he was pretty good against the Nationals. Obviously, he just gives up 2 earned in 6 innings. The curveball, something that they had looked at when he was with the Giants. The spin rate, they were really excited about that. 8 walks to 1 8 strikeouts to 1 walk. So gives up a home run, but certainly they brought him and Morton in to be stabilizers as those younger guys figure things out. As we saw from 2 outings out of Max Fried, not necessarily turned the corner yet. He gave up 5 hits once all of last season. He's given up more than that in 2 starts in 2021. So they really need Morton and Smiley to be those stabilizers for that rotation.
Corey, offensively, Acuna's had some big bops, but nobody else has. They for the most part, they've really, really struggled. Is there anybody that stood out in the lineup more than others? None of them have good numbers really, but is there somebody you look at and say, well, that is concerning as opposed to they're 6 games into the year. Who cares? We care, but let's not overreact to this situation. But is there somebody else who maybe you look at that and say, well, maybe something's off there?
And we talked about when you were having your technical difficulties that, Ozzie Albies and Marcell Ozuna's numbers aren't good. They're 2 for 22 is Albies and 2 for 20 is Ozuna. But the hard hit rates for both of them are just right there in line with what they've done in the past. So, obviously, luck and all that falls into the equation there. So I'm not worried about those guys. I am surprised, though, that Travis d'Arnaud continues to hit the way that he does right now. He's got the second highest OPS of any qualified Braves hitter. Obviously, he, hit a double, 2 RBI double against the Nationals in that double header. He had that play that Soto made that had like a 45% catchability rate on it. They could have obviously led to more, but this is again another guy that's hitting the ball hard, 66.7%. That's the top 9% of the league on hard hit rate for him. So they're hitting the ball hard, and the guys that you want to hit the ball hard are hitting it hard. They're just not getting things to drop in their favor. So after a handful of games, I don't think you can get too worked up. I just think everybody had expectations for this team, and you talk about an 0-4 start, the worst since 2016. It's really easy to get worked up about things not breaking their way early.
Well, Darren should understand this. You don't have to be that good early, and you could still, run your way right on through it and right on into the playoffs like the Nationals did a few years ago, right, Darren?
Yeah, that's right.
So, who really cares what happens in the first 60 games of the year? None of that crap matters. It's the last 100.
0-3, they won the division, right? They've been down this path before with these slow starts.
Let me ask you about the top of the Kansas City Royals lineup. I know this might be a little off the radar for you at this point, but Whit Merrifield, they call him 2-hit Whit. He's a guy who obviously is one of the best leadoff hitters in baseball. Andrew Benintendi is protecting him right there in that 2-hole, if you want to call it that, and kind of setting the stage for 3, 4, 5 and everybody else. What do you think about that 1-2 punch for KC?
Obviously, Merrifield is somebody that, you had heard rumors before about whether or not they would move him. But as they kind of start to put things together, I mean, this guy right now, you don't want to get too caught up in small sample sizes. I've talked to you guys about this before. Weighted run created plus 100 is a league average. Right now, Whit Merrifield hitting 131% above a league average. I mean, even Michael Taylor, who could not put things together consistently from an offensive standpoint in Washington, is hitting 120% above league average. Salvador Perez is hitting really well for them. I don't know that offense has staying power. But I will say Jorge Soler is somebody that I've always really been high on, and he's not 100% there hitting it right now. Benintendi is struggling a little bit from an overall offensive standpoint. So the guys that you would expect to hit well, Merrifield, Perez, are doing it, and then you've got those pieces that are the hitters that aren't performing right now. So I think from this offense looks like it could have staying power. That division we know is going to be really tough. With the Twins and the White Sox as the heavy hitters there. But I think the Royals are showing that they're going to be a very, very tough out, and they have what looks to be a pretty potent offense.
Let's go a little farther west to the Dodgers, because, expectations and a slow start might have happened on the East Coast, but a slow start has not happened out there on the West Coast. Kershaw's dominating. Bauer looks good. The offense is dominant. This Dodgers team might be poised for another run, huh?
Who was going to have any doubt that these guys were going to be coming to play in this season as the defending champions, and obviously going out, and you mentioned adding another weapon there, and getting Trevor Bauer in that mix. I mean, Seager looks fantastic. I mean, Max Muncy's hitting the ball well. Taylor, and they just look so good right now. And then the young guys. I mean, Gavin Lux is hitting the ball. They're still not getting a ton of production out of AJ Pollock, which I'm sure has to be concerning, for people considering the contract that they gave him. But the guys that matter, Will Smith, I mean, they look really good, and certainly, Clayton Kershaw was bad in the opener, but he bounced back with a really strong outing against the A's. So no one's counting. This is the best team in baseball for a reason.
Another topic I'm not sure that y'all covered, or if you covered, while I was trying to figure out what in the hell was going on here, but the doubleheaders. I mean, obviously it worked to the Braves' advantage yesterday. You could argue that those things were over in 7 innings. What were the players saying about 7-inning doubleheaders in spring training, and have you heard anything since then? Now that we've seen them in the season.
Like them, I think when you think about a bullpen and how much stress you can put on a bullpen in one day. Across 2 games, I think everyone likes the idea, of not having to put that much stress on the bullpen. So I think they're popular from that end. Certainly they made a lot of sense last year. I'm fine with them. I wasn't sure, what I was going to think of it, because obviously, baseball purists, anybody who considers themselves any shape of a baseball purist is going to hate any changes that are made. But I certainly think they've been for the positive. I think, when you consider last year, and we talked about this many times, the stress innings weren't there for a lot of pitchers. Now you're going back into 162. I think you need to guard arms a little bit, and not adding extra stress to bullpens with 2 games in one day. I think obviously accomplishes a lot of that.
We teams have missed games. Obviously, the Nationals missed games. There's some other games that have been missed out there. What is baseball intending to make all of these up at some point in time? Is there a threshold that we've heard that they want every team to have played X number of games? I'm not sure that that's necessarily possible, but something that they're aiming for.
Certainly they've been able to work a lot of this stuff back. I mean, the Nationals, obviously they were able to play a doubleheader, yesterday and make up for the lost game on Monday. So I think they're, with so many of these so far being division matchups, obviously the Mets and the Nationals, they're going to have lots of opportunities to make those up as the season goes on. So it's going to get more interesting as we look at, cross division matchups, travel schedules. I think when we have maybe a month or so, if we see additional games that are pulled out, maybe that's something that you're going to have to consider. But right now it's largely been a division game. So I don't think it's been that much of a talking point.
I'll say this. They did announce yesterday, I think maybe today, about the makeup for the Mets series and the National series. It's spread out, and it doesn't start until I think June when they start making up those games. So the plan is to make them up. Yes.
What's the off day schedule right now? I don't even know that I've actually paid close enough attention to everybody's schedules. How many off days were actually built into the 162 game schedule for each team. Well, it's more than they used to get, right? Didn't they used to get like 4 off days a year?
Really try to stress that and give them more. That was something they tried to work into some changes into the CBA. So we'll see how much that comes up this winter when they start negotiating again.
All right, Corey. Well, who wins the World Series?
Dodgers. We'll just stick with we're gonna play status quo for a while.
The Dodgers. Okay. All right.
Yeah. We'll see what the half Nationals team can do out there starting tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll let you run on that note, my friend. I know you're not a big golf fan, but it is playing in
Matsui's leading?
Yeah, I think so.
Daisuke?
Hideki Matsuyama is leading.
And so
a young transition.
Here you go. I'll make this a college thing for you so you can at least get on board with this. A young guy from Wake Forest, Will Zalatoris, who was off to a slow start. He's now 3 under through 15. So he is tied in a 4-way tie for first.
I thought about this before I came on. If you guys were to take a list of names, pull them out of your phone book, or they were golfers in the Masters, I don't know that I would know which list was which.
Well, I have Tiger Woods' number in my phone book. Would you know that?
But it's just random names. Like I don't know that I would know if it was a regular person or a golfer.
Webb Simpson.
Yeah. We'll play a golf game with you in the future. We'll play some type of golf trivia with you in the future, and if you win, we'll send you a cheesesteak from DB's. Deal.
Right by the time he gets here.
Perfect.
Corey, have a wonderful weekend. So I'm sorry I didn't get to catch up with you for the full 30 today, but I won't let this happen again. We'll see you right at 12:30 next Thursday afternoon. Cory McCartney in Atlanta, Georgia.
It's not just you. His AirPods weren't working great either. It's been a good day. At least the Masters is on as well.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait till 1:59. TalkingChop.com. I know you mentioned that already, but TalkingChop.com is like the best website in the world if you're a Braves fan. So certainly make sure that you check that out. Hopefully we don't have any more hiccups and bugaboos around here. Will Zalatoris, as you mentioned, Darren Siwoo Kim, Hideki Matsuyama, and this guy named Christian, but I don't know his last name. They're all tied at the top of the leaderboard at 3 under, as you also mentioned. Zalatoris is through 15, so he's furthest along in the opening round of the Masters. But there's Webb Simpson at 2 under as well. Just one shot back. Couple of other notables to pass before we hit a break here. Patrick Reed, Paul Casey, John Rahm. They're all at 1 under par today. Bubba Watson, he is even. Charles Schwartzel is at even par as well. Xander Schauffele's at even par. Canada's Mike Weir is at even. How about Freddie Couples even? Through 1. He's only been on the course for just a little bit. Some others who have been out there for a while. Brooks Koepka's through 10. He's 1 over. So is DJ through 8. And we've got plenty more teeing off this afternoon. And we'll keep you updated on those until we go off the air at 2 o'clock. And that's when Jordan Spieth, Cameron Smith, and Colin Morikawa, the final group, will go here on the opening day of the 2021 Masters. By the way, Rory McIlroy, right along with what Scott Glaze had to say earlier, 3 over through 7. The first round in majors for him has been brutal.
There's a lot of talk of keep an eye on Rory, and maybe this is Rory. I don't understand any of it. I think Rory is more likely to miss the cut than win this tournament. We can talk to Glaze about that when we get back.
We will do that. Scott Glaze, Meredith Taylor rejoin in our Thursday Masters coverage edition of the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. What's up, everyone? JB here. Want to tell you about my friends at McFadden Pest Control, as we do every day on our program. I love these guys. They've been in business over 40 years, and they treat our family like they've only been around for 4 days. Always doing their best work, trying to earn our business, although they know that they'll always have it. Heath and the guys take care of our quarterly, our mosquitoes, termite bonds, anything we can get them to do, they do it. They're the best. They're friends. Heath even often texts me and just asks to see how my family's doing. It's amazing. I can't say enough about McFadden Pest Control. Switch to them. You'll never have anyone else protect your home. McFaddenPestControl.com, McFaddenPestControl.com here in the Low Country.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
Bourbon and whiskey drinkers of Charleston, Paddock and Whiskey on James Island and the Terrace Shopping Center on Maybank is your home for the finest and rarest bourbon and whiskey drinks in the Low Country. This is where I hang out. Go meet my friends Reed and Chris and try one of their exclusive barrel pick bourbons. They have the largest private barrel collection in the state, and let their knowledgeable staff recommend your next pour. PaddockandWhiskey.com. Let not your heart be troubled. Paddock and Whiskey is here for your next double. We're all friends around here. Paddock and Whiskey, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Low Country. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf teams. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Clamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the national anthem.
Show. Live, loud, and online.
All right, welcome back. 103 on this Thursday afternoon, final hour of the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Darren, Jamie, Meredith, Scott, they rejoin us today as we are kicking off the Masters Round 1 from Augusta National in Augusta, Georgia. Siwoo Kim, Hideki Matsuyama are currently in the lead, along with Christian somebody. And then Will Zalatoris, Webb Simpson, and Mark Leishman all at 2 under, shot back of the leaders. Hopefully, fingers crossed here.
Oh,
hopefully,
yeah. You're good.
Things stand firm for my technology that allows me to do what I do here. We were having some troubles there. I wanted to blame it on Scott, but I don't think it was Scott's fault. So want to make sure all of you know as well about our partners here. If you want to go out, it's gorgeous outside. So if you want to go out and watch golf somewhere, watch the Masters. If you're on the James Island side of things, maybe check out our friends at Paddock and Whiskey. Have yourself a nice bourbon or 6 while you're watching the Masters. If you're in Mount Pleasant, if you're on Clemens Ferry Road, anywhere over that way, how about the Dog and Duck? That's where Darren will be this afternoon at 2:04 p.m. So make sure you find
always possible.
That's right. All right, so let's get back to it here, Scott and Meredith. Sorry about some of those issues we had at the top of this thing. I want to actually start this hour with an incredible story from the Masters. It's something that happened in 1983. Before I tell the story, let me ask all 3 of you this: did you know that President at the time, Ronald Reagan, played a round of golf in Augusta?
No.
Okay.
Didn't know Reagan even played golf.
No, he did. I'm going to get to that part. He didn't. Did you know that, Meredith? Did you know he played around?
I knew about Eisenhower.
Okay. Well, then you obviously don't know that the pro shop of Augusta, Georgia got held up in 1983 while Ronald Reagan was on the golf course.
Oh.
This is a true story. And this is wacky stuff. I do want to tell you the story. So in 1983, Ronald Reagan took a trip to Augusta to play around with a Republican donor and members of his cabinet as well. And shortly after Ronald Reagan basically made a mess of the par 3 12th, 2 members of his entourage took off to do some shopping at the pro shop. While there, 45-year-old Charles Harris, a recently fired millwright, burst in with a revolver demanding an audience with the president. He wanted to see President Reagan because he had just gotten laid off. Harris held several people hostage in the pro shop at gunpoint and finally told him the situation while he was on the course. Reagan tried to talk to Harris. Believe it or not, they had a cell phone that he could use.
Back in 83?
Pretty much only the president had one of these. It was somehow tied into an antenna in a car, from what I understand.
Called a walkie-talkie in 83.
But the connection was spotty, much like my connection in hour 1 of our program. Eventually, and long after the president, they took him off the course. He actually tried to talk to this guy in there, and they couldn't understand each other. And they said, "We got to get you to safety." So they rushed him out of there. A couple of the hostages escaped, and then he ended up releasing the others, and he gave himself up after a couple of hours to police. Well, there's a little bit of a twist to this story. There's a guy named Lanny Wiles who actually owned a Bojangles in Jacksonville, Florida, and he had worked on Ronald Reagan's campaign in 1980. And he was asked to come to Augusta in 1983 for the round. He was basically helping coordinate the event, coordinate the entourage. There's a big group, obviously, they're going to travel with the president for this. So he was supposed to play around that day. They were giving him a round of golf for helping out with all of this. And some things kind of unfolded where the round was going to get delayed. He started following the president around while he was playing his round of golf. And according to Lanny Wiles, he was a terrible golfer. I'm talking about Ronald Reagan. And on the and later on in the round, he said, "I've had enough of this. I'm going to actually go get some Circes, something from the pro shop to take home to my family." So he stopped watching the president, went back to the pro shop, and that's when it got held up while he was in there. Had he stayed on the course, he wouldn't have been a part of this. And he returned to Augusta just as a patron in 2015 to watch the tournament. And instead of going to the souvenir tent, into the souvenir lines, he actually went to the pro shop, and they wouldn't let him in because he didn't have a badge. He said, "You can't come in the pro shop without a badge."
Right.
And he said, "I almost lost my life here in 1983. And the security guard looked at him and said, "You were a hostage?" He said, "I was." They let him into the pro shop, and he finally got to get some Masters gear and take it home.
That's pretty cool.
I know it's a long story, but nobody's ever heard of that. I did some research this morning. I said, "You got to be kidding me."
That's wild.
So here's a fun tidbit that ties in with that story that people might not know, especially if you're not golf nerds like Meredith and I are. At the Masters, so this week you'll see like this here with the Masters logo. That is a logo for the Masters. The Augusta National Golf Club has its own logo. So if you're ever at a golf course and you see somebody with the Augusta National Golf Club logo, that's when you know that you're with somebody serious. I was given a matchbook from the Augusta National Golf Club by one of our members one time.
Oh,
I think is just a cool little trinket. That is the logo for the Augusta National. Also, notice the cool thing about these matches. We got to go to the other end.
They're not using.
They're green, of course.
They are. Very cool.
Yeah, they're not. Oh no, not using these puppies. So that's just a cool little thing there. But yeah, it's a different logo. So if you're able to ever get in that pro shop at Augusta National, you got to get some swag.
Well, Meredith, have you been in the pro shop? You played Augusta National. Have you been in there?
Yes, I was in the clubhouse in the locker room. I had Ben Hogan's locker, actually.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, it was wild. My life's a movie sometimes. No, thinking back to that whole experience, it's just wild that I was able to first of all, get to the University of South Carolina, which was my dream school, but then to also be invited to play. The reason we got invited to play was 2002, the girls won the SEC championship. I came in 2004. They got invited after they won the SECs, and then for this, next 5 years. So I got in on that invitation because the chairman at the time was Hootie Johnson, and he was a South Carolina alum. And so if that connection and that timing doesn't happen, I probably don't get there. Obviously, nobody really gets that invitation, but yeah, there's so many memories that I could share and stories of that day. It was
Who did you play with? Who'd you play around with?
One of the members. You have to play with a member, and two of my college teammates. So we had a blast.
Well, and that's kind of where I was going with this. Do you? Because I think we all know who some are, but do y'all know who a lot of the famous members of Augusta National are, Scott? Do you have a list of some names that we might know?
Condoleezza Rice is a member. Let's see. There's a lot of who's that are members. Lou Holtz is a member. I think, is Steve Spurrier a member too? Was that part of the South Carolina connection?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of who's in the world of business for sure. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I know.
But you can't apply for membership. You have to be invited.
Yeah, you have to be invited and approved by every single other member.
So it has to be unanimous. Every member has to approve you.
Yes.
Yeah. No one is privy to that process either.
Right.
So I heard,
that's the ultra secret double back room process.
You don't just share that information.
Bubba Watson was interviewed recently, might have been yesterday, and he was saying when he goes, he just like everybody else has to play with a member, even with he's bringing a guest or something, because he's not a member. He can't just roll in and play.
No, you got to have a
Masters champion, two-time Masters champion. He still can't go out there solo.
Yeah. So winning the tournament does not qualify you as a member of Augusta National Golf Club.
No.
That's correct.
Now you're always going to be able to come back as a champion. That's, Tuesday night, that champions dinner, that's probably the most elite fraternity in all of sports right there. In my opinion, is that you get to come back to the Masters every single year. And so, former champion, you can call the Augusta National Golf Club and certainly work your way on, but winning doesn't guarantee membership.
Is Tiger Woods a member? I don't know.
No, but I did.
No.
I don't know if it's true. No, I don't know if it's true, but I know that later in life, I think they gave an honorary membership to Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, potentially. So I'm sure that that's something that is down the road for Tiger to be a honorary member, so to speak.
And they're good. They're very good to their past champions, like he's saying, but membership is a different ballgame.
Adam asked a question to ask both of you. Is it true that Bill Gates tried to join and they said, thanks, but no thanks?
I've heard that. I don't know if it's true.
I have no idea if it's true. I have no idea.
Yeah.
According to golf.com, I'm looking this up right now. Bill Gates is one of the members. Warren Buffett is another one of them. So apparently he is in.
A lot of CEOs do get memberships there. But yeah, we're not privy. Go ahead.
Yeah, for those guys, it's a status symbol. I mean, they're never playing golf. It's just a status symbol to be a member of Augusta National. One of the cool stories, we might see it this weekend. There's a member. His name's Jeff Knox. He's their club champion, and there is this mystique and lore about him because he will play as a marker on the weekend if an odd number of players make the cut. Back in 2014, he played with Rory McIlroy, and when Rory was number one in the world, and beat him. Now, because he is a member at Augusta National, he cannot be interviewed after a round. He's just playing on behalf of the club as a marker to keep the other players' score. So that's a fun. Now that's a member that actually plays and is actually a good player. And that's going to be a fun thing to watch out for on Saturday and Sunday. If we get a member out there playing as a marker and can potentially beat a Masters participant.
I can't think of anything I'd rather do in like retirement one day than be that guy. Be the marker in a gut for the Masters whenever you need it.
You've got you're sitting there in your green jacket with your feet kicked up, sipping a cocktail, and they say, "Hey, Darren, we need you. We need you on the first tee."
I'm in.
Yeah, that's not
golfer, Darren.
Yeah, I scratch stuff when I golf. Yeah,
right. The trees.
Uh-huh.
Siwoo Kim, Hideki Matsuyama, Christian somebody, and now Mark Leishman has moved into a tie for the lead at 3 under, next to tee off Tommy Fleetwood and Phil Mickelson, Scotty Scheffler. They just did, and we got Sungjae Im, Patrick Cantlay, and Matthew Fitzpatrick. Keep an eye on Patrick Cantlay. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the golfers here in just a minute. Well, it's interesting that this club is so elite, because when Bobby Jones and Clifford Roberts, who was the chairman when they founded this, they actually wanted to host the U.S. Open, and the U.S. Open didn't want to play there, and so that's when they hosted the Augusta, whatever they called it, the Augusta National Invitational, and it grew into what it's grown into. But at the time, the USGA said, "Nah, we're good. We appreciate it. Yeah, you're a little blue, little green behind the ears, little whatever the term is. We don't want to bring the U.S. Open to Augusta National." And now they'll never bring the U.S. Open to an Augusta National because it's grown into the Masters. If we talk about the major championships, right? Like everything has it's so special, and every time each major approaches, we hear about how special they are. But I mean, is anything more special than the Masters? Well, I mean, what separates it? Why is it so separated from the other three, the British Open or the Open Championship, the PGA, and the U.S. Open? Meredith, why do you think that is? Why is it so elite?
It's tradition. It's so many things. There's nothing else like the golf course. Once you step on property, there's something about it. There's not a blade of grass out of place. Mm-hmm. It's hard to describe to people who've never experienced or been on the grounds to see just how, for lack of a better term, magical it is to be walking the grounds that Bobby Jones and Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, and you can go back and actually watch them hit those shots, the same shots that they're going to hit this weekend. Yeah. It's very special and something you don't get in other sports. Jack Nicklaus in '86. That doesn't happen in other sports. I mean, that was so wild for someone at his age to win the green jacket. And there's countless other things, but I'll let Scott chip in as well.
Well, I want to quickly add to this, and you know what, Scott, I want to almost say that David Kite had mentioned this to me maybe 4 or 5 years ago, coming from his father Tom, and this is where I want you to take it from here, but I remember hearing what makes it different is this tournament is about the tournament, not the player. And you go to the U.S. Open, you go to the PGA Championship, you go to the Open Championship, across the pond. No disrespect to any of them. We all know magnificent tournaments. The PGA Championship is going to be here next month. We can't wait to be a part of this. This is a major deal. These things are amazing. But you always remember the winners. And Augusta, it certainly is about the winner, but it's about the tournament. It's about Augusta National. It's about the Masters is bigger than the player, unlike maybe those others. Do you think there's truth in that statement?
There's so much truth in that statement. Yeah, it's about the tournament. There are only a handful of golf courses that if you could spit out a whole number that I'm instantly in my head going to know, can remember the hole. I can do that on the golf course I grew up on. I can do that here at Stone Ferry. I can do that at Augusta National. I know you could talk about the 14th hole, and I instantly, can look and see the 14th hole of Augusta National in my head. It's the cathedral of golf. I mean, it is golf's cathedral. It's like when you're a kid and you go to Disney World and you're just in awe. There is a special feeling when you walk into Augusta National. It does have that cathedral feel. And Meredith talked about earlier, the elevation change. Where you walk in is at the top of the hill, so to speak. And you can just kind of see how everything cascades down to the back of the property. And I don't know, just those tall pines, it's amazing. But and much like Disney and the success of Disney, it's the little minor details that they nailed, that Augusta National nails. It's, the fact that your egg salad and pimento cheese sandwiches are not only the best egg salad and pimento cheese you'll ever have, they're $1.50. Up until a couple of years ago, you could get a beer for like $2.50. And hence you'd see guys with stacks of cups, 20 high walking out of there.
And no cell phones.
Right.
Yeah.
No cell phones. It's the fact you're right. It is about the tournament. It's not about the player. And that's not a bad thing. That's not disrespect to the player. It's about the tournament. It's about the club. It's about the love and history of the game of golf.
I think the player would say that, Scott. I think if you ask Tiger Woods today, he would say, I bow down to the Masters. You call me Tiger all you want to, but I bow down to it.
Right. Yeah, it is so unique because it is a tournament run by the Augusta National Golf Club. The PGA Tour is not involved in this tournament. The PGA of America is not involved in this tournament. The USGA not involved. It is the Augusta National Golf Club that runs this event, and they certainly make it extremely special.
Can that happen again? Can there be another event on tour that the tour really has nothing to do with other than supplying the players for it, or is this only going to be an Augusta National thing forever?
I think it's only going to be an Augusta National thing. We had talk last year, a couple years ago, about the Premier Golf League potentially coming around and having competition for the PGA Tour. That's seemed to fizzle. I don't think there's ever going to be somewhere to break off and say, hey, we're going to host an event. It certainly could happen. I don't know what you think, Meredith, but I don't see it happening.
No, it's not going to happen. There's just too much history, and it's such a first-class event. Everything that they do is first class. I mean, the ceremonial tea this morning, when I went, it was Arnie, Jack, and Gary, and it's just, you're not going to get that in any other place.
Yeah, Lee Elder this morning, I think the first African American man to ever play in the Masters, it was a part of it, and that was a special moment as well. Real quick, again, at the top of the leaderboard, you've got Siwoo Kim, Hideki Matsuyama, Mark Leishman, this Christian. Somebody help me out with the guy's last name. But Beisenhout?
Bezuidenhout, I think is how you say it.
Never mind.
I'll spell it. Bezuidenhout.
Yeah, I regret asking that. I regret asking the question. But Paul Casey's also in at 3 under. Behind them at 2 under is Will Zalatoris, Brian Harmon, Webb Simpson, Cameron Champ. How about that? At 1 under through 13. So is Patrick Reed. He's got a green jacket. Mackenzie Hughes, Bird Weisberger, Matt Wallace, Frankie Molinari in there at 1 under, and Gary Woodland also at 1 under. A couple of other notables from across the golf course: Brooks Koepka, DJ, both at 1 over thus far through the afternoon. Billy Horschel, he is 1 over. So is Ryan Palmer at 2 over right now. Ian Poulter, and he is through 16. So his round is about to wrap up here shortly. Matt Kuchar off to a rough start. He's through 1, but he's 2 over. And this is the one, though, I'm kind of leading my way down the leaderboard to get to Rory. And Darren and I mentioned this at the top of, or maybe at the bottom of the last hour, right before we brought you two back with us. And Rory is 3 over through 9. So is Fred Couples 3 over, but he's through 3. But right on par, Scott, with what you mentioned earlier. You know, his first round in major championships has, for lack of better terms, been awful. And the rest of them have been pretty good. And once again today, he is just not off to a good start.
Yeah, I really want to dive into Rory's round a little bit. He's through He's through 9, so he does have the back 9 to try and get some strokes back, which you can do. We're seeing some eagles today.
Yep.
Another cool tradition of the Masters, if you make an eagle, you get a piece of crystal from the club. Now, cool thing, that really means a lot to the players because that's something, just a little touch that nobody else does. We are seeing some eagles out there, one of which was from Kevin Kisner. Right as I'm great at this, great at just putting the kiss of death on somebody. Right as I'm talking about Kisner, he made triple on 11, he bogeyed 12, and then it eagled 13. So the guy's on a roller coaster ride. But I really want to look into, and when we talk tomorrow, maybe I can have some stats on Rory's round today if he's not able to get it back. At the Masters since 2016, his strokes gained rankings off the tee, he's second. On his strokes gained approach, he is 62nd. Around the green, he's third. Putting, he's 24th. So we talked earlier about how this is a second shot golf course, and he ranked 62nd in that stat, in that approach stat. So he has not succeeded in that regard at the Masters. And putting, being 24th is not great. I mean, it's going to be mediocre. So that's what I want to see, is where is Rory giving these shots away? Is he just putting the ball in bad spots around the greens, or is he losing it off the tee? Where is it? It's because it's a mystery to me. The guy is so extremely talented and has played some phenomenal golf, and it seems a little lost in the wilderness ever since COVID, really, ever since golf stopped last year. Rory hadn't been the same.
I can tell you he 3-putted 9. So his last 4-5 holes of the front 9, bogey, 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 birdie, 3-putt, bogey. I said this at the end of the hour, right before we brought you guys back on. I know there's chatter about Rory, but in my eyes, he's almost more likely to miss the cut than he is to win this tournament. You guys agree with that?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dynamite drop in, Monty.
I mean, he's going to the Masters. Here's each of the last 15 Masters winners have shot under par in the first round with an average of 68.6 being the stroke average of the last 15 winners. 14 of the last 15 winners were in the top 10 after the first round. The only exception to that was Tiger in 2019. He was 11th after the first round. So you really, if numbers don't lie, and last 15 years, that's pretty good sample size there. So you're going to have to be in that top 10 or close to it if you want a chance.
1:27 on this Thursday afternoon. Do you two still have a few minutes to spend with us, or do you need to get back to your day jobs?
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, we're talking golf, right? Everything's fine.
You know what I think? Like the day after the Super Bowl, people want off. I want Thursday, Friday of the Masters off.
Yeah, it's like the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament, right? Well, I mean, I have a lot of friends who are texting me today, best weekend of the year.
Yeah. Very well thought out there, Meredith Taylor. All right, so let me ask you about a couple of names that have been at the top of the golf world over the last few weeks. Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. They've got some wins under their belt. They're set to tee off in 20 minutes for JT, 148. Spieth will be in that final group. These are the final 2 groups on the course today, as a matter of fact. Spieth goes with Cameron Smith and Colin Morikawa. Watch out for him at 2 o'clock as well. But let's start with JT, Meredith. I know Stat Boy up there is anxious to get in, but you're the only one that's played the course, so we're going to let you go. Let's start with JT. He's obviously got a big win already here in 2021. He, like a lot of these guys, knows this course inside and out. As you've watched him play this year, knowing what that course can do,
right?
What are your thoughts about Justin Thomas and his chances at maybe taking home a green jacket on Sunday afternoon?
I really like him this week. He's one of my picks. Based on the shot making that he's been able to do, he hit, I think it was down at the Players where he hit this massive draw. Scott can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was this huge driver draw. He's going to need that on 13. I'm looking at different shots that he's able to hit, these massive cuts off the tee. Going to need that on 18, like things like that. I'm all the shot making that he's able to do. and then seeing the clutch putting and closing out that tournament at the Players, I think he's informed to perform really well. And again, like I said, having a practice round with Freddie Couples doesn't hurt. Having that course knowledge, and the more you play that golf course, the more comfortable you become, and the more knowledge you have of where not to miss it, because if you miss it there, you're not going to make par. All of that comes with that, like we're talking about earlier, being a veteran at that golf course. The newcomers, the first timers, they're probably going to be like a deer in headlights, and it's like putting on glass. It's very uncomfortable, and they're not used to it. And the way that the greens react and certain pin placements you can't go after, and you got to have that discipline. So JT, I love that pick this week for sure.
Stat boy.
Well, to sprinkle some stats on that. No, JT, yes, and this, my weekly video, Meredith nailed it right. Hit the nail around the head. You have to be able to hit a draw off the tee at Augusta National, and that's a tale as old as time. You have to be able to hit a draw. There's some huge tee shots that require a big sweeping draw. Number 2, number 5, number 10, number 13. And if you can hit that shot, you're going to have distinct advantages on those holes. JT can move the ball both ways. What's funny is that you need that draw off the tee, but coming into the greens, a lot of times you need to be able to fade the ball so that you can hold the greens. So the fact that he can work it both ways, he's a tremendous ball striker, makes him a huge favorite. Another reason I really like JT this week, he has improved his finish at the Masters every single year. 2016 was his first year. He finished tied for 39th. He was then tied for 22nd, tied for 17th, tied for 12th. And last year in November, finished 4th. So his stock continues to rise as he familiarizes himself with the Masters and Augusta National. In the last 3 years, he is first of all players in strokes gained approach and in greens and regulation. So he really is finding his form around here. And I took away from his press conference earlier this week, talking about playing practice round with Freddie Couples, previously with Tiger Woods, is that whenever he's at the Masters playing with those guys, wherever those guys go to practice shots, that's where JT, he would follow them like a puppy and go hit the same shots. Mm-hmm. If Freddie is hitting a certain pitch behind the 13th green down to the back right pin, JT, he's going right over there hitting that shot too, because a Masters champion is going to know where you need to hit these shots. And it's just going to be a few holes, a few shots that if you can capitalize and not make the big mistake, that's how you're going to win, and especially at a place as intricate as Augusta.
How significant is it? I mean, you say last year, but last year was 6 months ago, not even 6 months ago that they played at Augusta National, and he finished 4th. Obviously, DJ won it. How significant is this for maybe those two specifically, or others that are on the course today? The last time that they played this course in tournament form was November. It was not last April. Does that mean anything? No,
not to me.
Okay.
Just because the conditions are completely different, weather's different. It was a lot of rain leading up to that November Masters. There's been no rain leading up to this one, and it's 80 degrees. So it's completely different. One of the guys, I think it was Answer. No, let's see. Yeah. He said, I basically had to throw out my November practice yardage book from November because that was his first Masters. And he's like, it's nothing like that. It's completely 180. So I wouldn't put a whole lot. Obviously, that's confidence for him. He's done better every Masters. But as far as the comparison, it's a completely different golf course.
Well, Scott obviously joins us every Thursday afternoon on our program. And last Thursday, one of the talking points, Meredith, we'll let you lead off again here, was Jordan Spieth. And he went on to win the Valero. How did that help him most heading into the Masters?
Momentum, confidence, seeing the shot, executing the shot, because a lot of times you know exactly where you're supposed to put the ball, but you don't execute it. But that's just adding confidence for him to execute on Sunday in the heat of the moment. You got the lead. And then for me, seeing him, he was going to pull a 3-wood on 18. He disciplined himself and hit the 8-iron. Things like that are all building blocks. And to me, that would give me momentum going into a golf course that I know I have success on. Confidence that when I walk on that property, I've got that swagger and that confidence, and I know exactly what to do. So to me, I like him this week as well to do well and at least be in contention on Sunday.
Scott, let's talk about Bryson DeChambeau. He's going to tee off. He's teeing off right now. Matter of fact, he's next on the tee. Bryson DeChambeau with Adam Scott and Max Homa. I don't know if anybody caught the video yesterday. Darren, did you see that video? Vijay Singh watching DeChambeau on the.
So it was a couple days ago, actually, and it may have been replayed. I was watching it live when they were doing it. He was live at the Masters or, on the range, whatever one of those shows was. And I'm sitting there, just my mouth is agape, and VJ's just cracking up. I mean, it's Bryson trying to, overpower this golf course. He failed in November, though. Can he do it this time?
What's the term that I want? I don't even know how to describe it. Like watching him amp himself up, and there's somebody in the background, like a hype man, and he's taking these big old. It's like he's about to do a power lift, and he's hitting drivers. I actually think I was more worried. Bad of me to say worried. I do not want to see DeChambeau win the Masters. I do not subscribe to this type of way to play golf and the way to go about it and try to overpower it. But that's just me. I know he's got a ton of fans out there. I was more worried in November that he would dominate the golf course due to how soft it was and the fact that the ball would not bounce and bound and run out. I think now that the conditions are this firm, I think it's a disadvantage to Bryson because, as we'll say a million times, it's a second shot golf course. So the lines he has to take at the distances that he's hitting the driver are unconventional lines, and the ball can then bounce, roll out to certain areas to give really difficult angles into these diabolical greens. So yeah, he might, have 30 yards into number one if he really wants to, but the flag is, I think today it's back left. They were talking about that earlier, how difficult that is, because then if you get aggressive on a certain angle going for that back flag, you go long, and long is a definite bogey where you just have to take your mess and hit it to 20 feet. Well, he could have these strange angles with these touchy little shots and actually do himself a disservice instead of being able to have full clubs into the greens. On top of that, since Bryson made his Masters debut, he ranks 70th out of 78 players in putting. So it is a second shot golf course, but as I've said before, putting is the great equalizer, and especially on a place where the greens are like going to be putting on tabletops with undulation. You need to be able to roll the rock, and Bryson has not shown that at Augusta National yet. So I still, to me, until he proves that he can conquer those greens, he will not have success at the Masters. What's also very interesting, no greens books at the Masters. So he doesn't have the greens books that you normally get on the PGA Tour that show, it's a topography map of the green and shows the severity of the slopes. He really relies on those week in and week out. The Masters does not provide those, so it makes it tougher.
I want to just circle back with you, Scott, real quickly, because you've been on Will Zalatoris. You've talked about him on the show many times. 2 under. He's in at 2 under par. He hasn't.
I'm glad. I wanted to give myself a shout out on that because I've been on Will Zalatoris for a while with you guys, and I know the first time I mentioned his name, and it was like Christian Buzenhout, or however we say that. You guys were like, what? So Will Zalatoris 2 under today. He had a little bit of an Icarus moment right there on on 16. He flew too close to the sun. He tied the lead on 15, made a bogey on 16, but got it in the house, 2 under, great round. The guy, he's about as big around as my pinky, but can move the golf ball out there. Is just, he can really go low. First time Masters participant. So as we talked about earlier, that's always tough. I would love to see him do well, but he really showed what a competitor he is to go out there in awe of your first Masters and go post to 70. That makes lunch taste a little better this afternoon.
Now, how did he qualify? How is this his first Masters?
He won. He's not won yet on tour. He's been a top 10 machine. I think he's already in the top 50 of the world golf rankings. Okay. And that gets you in.
He's got 10 top 25s and 14 starts on tour this season. PGA Tour Communications actually just tweeted this out.
Yeah, he's 45th in the world. So that gets you in. That was something we were following with Ricky Fowler. If Ricky was going to be able to get in, Ricky's fallen out of the top 50. He was not able to get in. Now, first timers at the Masters don't have a ton of success, especially when it comes to winning. Here's another interesting stat. Boy's got another interesting stat for you. 35 straight major championships have been won by a player ranked in the top 50 of the world. In the world. So the last time a player won a major championship ranked outside the top 50 was 2011 when Keegan Bradley won the PGA Championship. And the last time someone outside the top 50 in the world won the Masters was 2009 when Angel Cabrera won. So for Will Zalatoris fans like myself, he's ranked 45th. So he's safe in that regard.
Hideki Matsuyama is solely in the lead now, 4 under through 13. At 3 under, Webb Simpson, Christian B, Paul Casey, and Mark Leishman all in at 3, or all at 3 under, all on the course at 3 under. As you mentioned, Darren, Zalatoris is in the clubhouse with a 72 under par, and he's tied with Brian Harmon and Patrick Reed. That's 6 currently in the field. Siwoo Kim, Mackenzie Hughes, Gary Woodland, Shane Lowry, Terrell Hatton, all 1 under, and that's it. Everybody else is even or over. Dustin Johnson has birdied 11, so he's back to even on the afternoon. Bubba Watson is also even par. So when we look at recent Masters winners, and we'll let you run here in just a couple of minutes, DJ, Patrick Reed, Sergio, Spieth, Bubba, Adam Scott, Phil Mickelson, Schwartzel, Zach Johnson, these guys, they're all on the course this week. Who of those can win this thing again, which I guess would be for the second time, or I guess in the case of Bubba Watson, that'd be the third time for him.
Well, who do you have? Who's your official pick this week, Meredith? I'm going to let you be the guinea pig.
I typically enjoy the Masters. I don't normally pick somebody because I just love watching everybody play. But between Jordan and JT, and I can't
really.
Yeah, I really do like both of them. Excellent ball strikers. Second golf, they know this golf course. I like both of them. But nobody's talking about Adam Scott, which is interesting to me because another great ball striker, and no one's mentioned him at all, I feel like, this week. But again, somebody who has that high trajectory second shot, who can land it on the greens pretty softly. I wouldn't be shocked to see him up there either. No,
Adam Scott, ball striking wizard.
Right.
He struggles on the greens. I think of past champions. I struggle taking anybody other than Dustin this week. He is a defending champion. It was a different golf course, as we discussed, but I think that was a huge monkey off of his back. And I just think sometimes storylines kind of line up. And I think we really have underrated and undervalued Dustin's career of how great he's been for quite a while now. And a really elusive stat or record is that there have only been 3 players to ever win the Masters back-to-back. Jack Nicklaus did it.
Faldo.
Nick Faldo did it, and Tiger Woods did it. And I think if DJ obviously he's the defending champion. He knows that stat. I think that cements your legacy pretty good right there to join that type of rarefied air. So I think there's some extra motivation for DJ. I think we're going to see past champions do very well this week, just due to the nuances that we keep talking about that you're going to need to know about the golf course. So that's going to bode well for somebody like Patrick Reed, who, as much as we might dislike him, he has a phenomenal short game. He only needed 104 putts over the course of 4 days back when he won in 2018, which is phenomenal. I think Adam Scott, Bubba Watson, we've not seen much of Bubba recently, but Bubba's a guy, he can move the ball both ways. He can shape shots, and he's won the Masters twice. He knows and loves this golf course. So, yeah, he's been flying under the radar for months now, but all of a sudden he could pop up on the first page of the leaderboard. And I really think we might have a little bit of a flash from Phil Mickelson. I don't know if he's going to compete, but I just feel like at some point, and he even said so in his press conference, that when the course plays this way, it plays into the favor of people like him who've had such success around the golf course. So we could see him maybe hang around for a little bit. I don't think Phil's going to be donning another green jacket, but I think that'd be exciting for fans if he was in the mix for a little bit.
17 players in the history of the sport have won 2 or more Masters. Only 8 have won 3 or more. If Bubba Watson were to accomplish that this week, that would make 9. We all know that Jack Nicklaus has won 6, Tiger with 5, and Arnold Palmer with 4. So everybody's got a ways to go to try to catch up to any of those 3 gentlemen. On that note, we're going to let you 2 run. And Meredith, you get back to doing what you do, make people happy. And Scott, you get back to giving out some lessons out there. And maybe one of these folks that you give a lesson to, we'll be talking about them in the Masters one day. If it's not you.
Is it tough to work at a golf course when the Masters is on?
It is. It really is. I mean, it's great. It's on everywhere, and I'm trying to check the leaderboard and stuff because it's all everybody wants to talk about. So it's great. There is a buzz. People get excited, even if you're just kind of a fringe golfer.
Yeah,
the Masters really kind of gets you excited and gets that green injected in your veins.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to inject you 2 into the veins of all of our audience again tomorrow. You're going to be back for a Friday edition of the Masters, and we'll see who's on top of the leaderboard. At this point in time, it's Hideki Matsuyama. But as always, brilliance by Meredith and Scott. Thank you so much for carrying this thing, because although Darren is talented, I'm not, and we know a little bit about golf, it wouldn't be near as complete without you 2, and we certainly appreciate everything. And we'll talk to you tomorrow around 12:05.
Enjoy the coverage.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah. See y'all tomorrow.
StoneOakFerryGolf.com. If you want to play golf to celebrate the Masters this week, head to StoneOakFerryGolf.com. It is booking up very quick here in the Low Country. It's supposed to be nice weather throughout the next few days, but you can head to StoneOakFerryGolf.com to book your tee times and much, much more out there in Hollywood, South Carolina, the home of Stone Oak Ferry, where you can find Scott Glaze as well. Maybe not this weekend, but at some point in time in the future, sign yourself up for a lesson with Scotty. All right, it is Power Hour. Power Hour is powered by Wando Power Equipment. WandoPower.com. Maybe you're not playing golf this weekend, but the coverage begins in the afternoon, which means you need to work on the yard in the morning. Hello, that's me. If you don't have what you need, you head to Wando Power Equipment on Daniel Island. WandoPower.com. If you need to rent an aerator, if you need to buy a lawnmower, if you need to buy a blower, you need to buy a weed eater, you need to go out and get you a big zero turn because you've got acreage that you need to cut and you don't have one that works, take it there. Or if you've bought it there, they'll fix it. Or if you buy it and something happens down the road, they'll fix that as well. WandoPower.com, the home of the Hustler Zero Turn Mower. How about the new Raptor series? It is some kind of special. If you haven't seen it, bigger, stronger, faster, just head to WandoPower.com. Much like Bryson DeChambeau. Bigger, stronger, faster. WandoPower.com, the home of all the power equipment you could possibly need for your outdoors right here in South Carolina. All right, we got to hit a timeout, a quick and late timeout. When we return, though, a couple of baseball notes to pass along, a hoops note as well, and we'll give you one final update from Augusta National, as we set ourselves off this afternoon to watch it, Darren and I, just like all of you. So hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. We'll be right back.
Peace and love at Stokes Speed Dub.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. Whatever you got planned this week, cancel it. 72 new Volkswagens will be sold in the next 72 hours at whatever price it takes. I repeat, 72 new Volkswagens will be sold in the next 72 hours. To the first 72 car buyers interested in saving up to $6,000 on a new Volkswagen for 3 days only. Every new Volkswagen and pre-owned vehicle at our bottom line price. Direct to the public, regardless of profit. Qualified purchases with interest-free financing for 60 months, and all trade-ins will be accepted. Interested parties should arrive early for best selection. You will not find a lower price anywhere in the country. 72-hour Volkswagen clearance, savings up to $6,000, 3 days only at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
Peace and love at Stokes Speed Dub.
$16.66 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with 0 down plus tax. Tag includes $4.99.50 administration fee subject to VCI credit approval. Expires month end.
What's up, everyone? JB here. Want to tell you about my friends at McFadden Pest Control, as we do every day on our program. I love these guys. They've been in business over 40 years, and they treat our family like they've only been around for 4 days. Always doing their best work, trying to earn our business, although they know that they'll always have it. Heath and the guys take care of our quarterly, our mosquitoes, termite bonds, anything we can get them to do, they do it. They're the best. They're friends. Heath even often texts me and just asks to see how my family's doing. It's amazing. I can't say enough about McFadden Pest Control. Switch to them. You'll never have anyone else protect your home. McFaddenPestControl.com, McFaddenPestControl.com here in the Low Country.
Spring is officially here, and there's no better place to bring it in than the Dog and Duck. 3 locations in Mount Pleasant, Park West, Bell Hall, and Clements Ferry Road, all of them with gorgeous outdoor seating to take advantage of their daily food and drink specials. Through the end of April, $5 Sweetwater pints. Food specials like Taco Tuesday and the Game Day Burger every Wednesday. It's all available at Dog and Duck. There are 3 locations in Mount Pleasant, Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
You were listening to the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online.
All right, final segment on this Thursday afternoon, Masters Thursday. Welcome back. The JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Thanks to Scott Glaze and Meredith Taylor for carrying us through the afternoon. We hope you've learned something, and we hope you've had fun. And you can have fun again tomorrow with the both of them. Darren, I said earlier, and I truly meant it, that week I spent with them at the U.S. Women's Open was just a blast. And I tweeted out earlier today, you don't have to be the biggest of golf. You don't have to be the biggest golf fan in the world to actually enjoy listening to 2 people that know it inside and out like Scott and Meredith do. It's been great to have them as part of our coverage.
I listened to, I think, every day of your coverage when you were out there with the 2 of them, and I thought it was outstanding. So, I mean, there was no question in my mind when we're talking golf. It's the 2 of them. I mean, that was some solid radio out there. So we'll just bring them over here and have solid radio over here.
That's exactly right. By the way, that birdie from Dustin Johnson was something to see. From off the putting green, he chipped it, and it just trickled, dropped. And he was able to get back to even. So DJ there is marching right along this afternoon. And he is 4 shots off the lead. That's Hideki Matsuyama, now joined by Mark Leishman. Mark Leishman is 4 under through 6. He's off to a roaring start in Augusta.
Best start of the day. No question about it. That's the best start through 6 today.
Quickly in hoops, South Carolina picked up their second transfer portal commitment this offseason. 6'7" forward AJ Wilson out of George Mason has committed to the Gamecocks. He was ranked in the top 30 nationally the last 2 seasons in block percentage, 14th nationally in 2020, and then this year 26th nationally. He was a newcomer of the year. He's a big kid, 6'7", 230 pounds, but he's an all-defensive player coming out of George Mason as well. So I don't know. By the sound of that, it sounds like he'll fit right in with Frank Martin in the future. But he is their second transfer, and we're keeping our eyes out there for a couple more potentially. over maybe the next week or two. So we'll see how some of that kind of unfolds. Also, Darren, the latest D1 Baseball and Baseball America regional projections are out. Baseball America and D1 Baseball both have South Carolina as a top 16 seed and a host site. Both of them have them as the 12th overall seed, as a matter of fact. They also have USC Upstate in the tournament. One of them actually has USC Upstate playing in Columbia, which would be interesting.
It would make sense.
It would make sense, especially if you're trying to limit travel. That was actually both of them now have USC Upstate in there as the 4 seed in the Columbia South Carolina Regional. And Clemson is also in the field per D1 Baseball and per Baseball America, I believe. Well, I know D1 Baseball has Clemson in the field. There they are. Baseball America has them heading to Austin, Texas, the 5th seeded Longhorns. And D1 Baseball's got them in there as well over in Mississippi. So we'll kind of keep our eyes on that, but nobody really cares here on April the 8th. We'll got about 2 months to go before some of this is officially decided, but it is good to see that both of those programs, in addition to USC Upstate, are in the early field here. Especially Clemson, they were struggling out of the gates. People were starting to write them off early, and we sat here going, whoa. This team's really good. Cory Meredith wasn't there. They had young arms that needed to get established. They're playing much better baseball. So the Tigers starting to get noticed across the country. All right, on the handy dandy, what day is it? National Days calendar. It should just be one day, right? Masters Thursday.
It is that's for sure.
Well, Tuesday was New Beer's Eve. Yesterday was National Beer Day.
Yes.
Today is National Alcohol Screening Day.
Well, I guess a lot of people need to be screened for alcohol after you made your beer and drank your beer. That does make sense.
Yeah. It's also National Empanada Day.
Give or take.
Somebody needs to make today that National Egg Salad Sandwich Day and National Pimento Cheese Day.
Well, I mean, it's Masters Thursday, so that would be a good day for it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Would make a lot of sense. I'll throw this in as well. It's National Holocaust Remembrance Day. I don't know if it's a national thing. It's International Holocaust Remembrance Day as well. Never forget.
Oh, you don't need to just throw that in there. That is something that too many people often do forget, as a matter of fact, which is and then they try to reference it to make some other point, and they totally screw it up every time. So I'm with you. That is a day that people don't just need to not forget; they need to remember.
Yeah, that's right.
And great point. It's also National Zoo Lovers Day. So if you love the zoo, how about it? Best zoo I've ever been to. Well, I was a kid. It was Detroit. And then last summer we were in St. Louis. The St. Louis Zoo is a free zoo. If you're ever in St. Louis, you just have to reserve your tickets online. You can go for free. It's pretty cool.
I'm spoiled. I grew up outside D.C., so the National Zoo there is where I grew up going to. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's and Columbia has a great zoo as well. We got to give Columbia some props. They do have a great zoo, but not like those. Not like those. You're right.
Yeah.
And that is it on the handy dandy National Days calendar. Is this real? This report of Rory McIlroy hitting his dad with a shot today?
I just saw a headline pop up, and I have not read the article, but it is possible. I'm not sure. I haven't gone into it, but a headline just scrolled across not long ago, a couple minutes ago.
Well, believe it or not, on Twitter, much like the Tiger tracker, there is a Rory McIlroy tracker.
Okay.
And they tweeted out that Rory McIlroy drilled his dad with a wayward shot at the Masters today. This was picked up by TMZ Sports, and there's now an article out about this. But if that's true, the terrible round for Rory is continuing, and his father isn't going to like it much better than he is after he was whacked with a shot hitting from the trees in Augusta, Georgia. Wow. You mentioned Phil Mickelson earlier. He's now 1 under. He's birdied the second hole, and Phil Mickelson is off to a pretty good start today. So we'll keep our eyes on Phil, but he is one of not many, Not many right now that are under par. Again, Hideki Matsuyama and Mark Leishman continue to lead the field at 4 under par.
That
is it.
I'll give one more. This day, 1974. This day, I think I wrote the wrong date there. This day, though, 1974, Hank Aaron, home run 715.
Wow.
I did put the wrong date there. It's the 8th.
Great day. It's also this day, 20 years ago, that Tiger Woods completed the Tiger Slam.
Yep.
April 8th is an important day on the calendar. Thanks to Scott Glaze, Meredith Taylor for joining us today. They'll be back tomorrow for our continued coverage of the Masters. Thanks to Cory McCartney. Sorry about some technical issues in hour number 1, but thanks to Darren Goldwater for carrying all of this on his shoulders.
We got you, man.
Have a thirsty Thursday afternoon. Enjoy it all. We'll see you at noon tomorrow on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.